we're not going to do Winnipeg without doing Minnesota. And I'm
all for that.
I am thrilled to take you to Minnesota because I truly feel like if there was a place that was meant for me outside of like my home, like it would be Minnesota.
I've often said I dream of suburban Minnesota someday. I don't know that I've never been, but I feel like it would be like that's where I belong.
Once you get there, you're going to be like,
he's going to get there. He's going to be like, what is this?
No,
or I'm never going to leave. It's one or the other.
But there are 8 hours in between Winnipeg and Minneapolis. And do you know what's in between?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You know what the best part of this is going to be? How Winnipeggers always feel slighted that people don't talk about Winnipeg enough, and we've talked about Minnesota for most of this. Next on Ugly Thirds.
Welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of Ugly Thirds. Today's topic is the Winnipeg Jets' worst 3 jerseys. John and Shrams, take it away.
I do want to make one slight correction. In between Minneapolis and Winnipeg is Fargo. And in the Fargo Visitor Center, you can visit and take pictures with the wood chipper from Fargo. Except on Sundays when we were there, when it was closed. So, there you go. There's your tidbit.
U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in between in Duluth?
Oh, if you want to get very mappy with me, I will, but I don't think you want to go there.
Let's not.
All right.
Now, I don't have any real complaints about Winnipeg's look, so this worst of list is mostly your picks.
I think it's worth mentioning that we're not doing the OG.
Yeah, no, I don't only have so many Winnipeg options, and they're all in this list, so I'm wearing one of the older ones,
but in terms
the end of the line one, so you know,
right. So we're not doing Winnipeg from the 80s and 90s.
Correct.
We're doing the rebrand.
So that's another video, probably just a statement because they had 4 jerseys total in that time. So
since 2011, Winnipeg has put out a very basic offering until we get around the Adidas era, and that's when things start to
because they have to because
fly out of control.
Yeah. Okay, so I like this one. I bought one. This is mine. This isn't Phil's.
Explain to me.
I just look. This is a fine jersey. There's nothing wrong with it. But red, white, and blue is so common with everything.
Okay.
And just having, it's a standard stripe with a standard substripe. Having this blue does make it pop better. I like the 80s logo far better than the 90s, and I know a lot of people love to argue with me about that. But I just think that this being the only jet versus, and of course I left it in the other room. But, having it on here and having the jet in the circle and whatnot and just a little bit more to it. And I just think this blue pops. I like that blue. Considering how big baby blue and blue was in the NHL for a brief time, and Winnipeg's kind of stuck with it. And their blue is not like ice blue Penguins baby blue. It pops better. And it pops better in person than it does on camera. I will say that.
There's something to be said about this versus like that Winter Classic that Pittsburgh did. Two very different blues.
But this is our worst of list.
So, in thinking about what Winnipeg had to... Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. Which jersey is this?
This is Reverse Retro 2.
Okay. In thinking about what they had to throw back to, you don't have a lot of options.
No.
You had very little. So we knew we were getting this, but I would have done something more indicative of that jersey right there. Maybe an all red with blue and white trim and things like that. But there's something about it's bland. It's boring.
It is. I think
it is
the blue.
It
is.
It is. This jersey.
This patch is underrated. It's this patch but updated. That's the actual true. Go ahead, Phil. Is Jersey Cam working?
Jeez, here we go. Oh, that was a loaded question. Nice.
So there's the original.
Okay, so the original. Well, I mean, there's like 4 different versions. That's the '90s one, and then the one that's True North's Goals for Kids strategy charity. So,
now
I think it's a great touch.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, but they're probably the only franchise that has had a consistent, besides maybe Canucks Place.
Canucks Place was on the shoulder.
But to have that continuously over and over and over again,
it's disappeared at times, but it was a nice touch to bring back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because again,
for sure.
Number 2, look, this is also your pick. I liked it. I would have had something opposite list.
What about this do you
The blue.
enjoy?
Look, again, when I saw it on NHL uniforms, when I saw it announced, when I saw the news stories, and when I saw it on TV, I'm like, okay. And it is a boring logo. This is the logo when they were in the when they first were in the World Hockey Association. Maybe second. There was a version with like a skating player. Phil, you want to zoom in real well on this because it does have their entire logo history up to 1996 on here. So you
Good
can see
shot.
in this one, there is a little skater there. Ignore the ribbon behind it. But that was the original logo. And so this is a play off of that.
I feel like you put that skater on there, it changes the
It
dynamic
gets
of the
much more
jersey.
hokey, I think. It
Could
just-
be.
But that's a jet. That's the tail. That's the cockpit. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead, zoom in. We know it works. Give you your workout today. That's not the right. No. No.
And the Emmy for outstanding camera work in a
There we
YouTube
go,
short
there we go.
series, debuting on Fridays and Mondays.
Right?
Those two. It. You know what? It is the Pizza Hut tee, and that's why it's sitting at
okay.
number 2.
Tell me why it's bad. Look, you had one. You wore it to trivia, and I'm like, I need one. And then Line A got traded, and so I bought one.
Of course,
cheap.
as one does. Scoop them up after they go.
Oh, absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, it's fine. It's fine. We don't have a lot to choose from
That's
with
true.
New
That's
Winnipeg.
true. That's true.
But then,
the one that we have to talk about with New Winnipeg, what were they thinking, Winnipeg? I could have bought one of these and chose not to, Winnipeg.
woof.
Bill,
This is.
well, we didn't even say what
Oh,
is
terribly
this?
sorry about this one.
That one's
He's not.
a third from 2018 to 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, they have since dropped it.
This is a reverse retro one.
This is RR1. Where does the gray come
It
from?
doesn't.
Okay.
There's no, as far as I can
this
tell.
is faux-ish back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of the reverse retro, this is close to it. Because, like, reverse retro is a weird gray area with faux back. Because you're throwing back to something, but the whole point is to change the colors. Like, there's a deliberate. Whereas Detroit in that Winter Classic made something completely new that evokes an era.
What if, because it's a throwback to the Jets franchise that's not there anymore, gray means, like, dead? Like, it's kind of like, you know. Like,
only. I don't think that storytelling element was there, if I'm being honest.
because that could be kind of interesting. Like, they're dead to them. Like, they left.
But and then they definitely did not do, because there was a time where, like, all their stuff would be to the WHA era. Their Heritage Classic was to the WHA. So they just kind of
Sure.
ignored this team until Reverse Retro, and then they did it twice.
Right.
So
Well,
it is very dark, and look, the light blue pops. I do love it, but other than that, there's just, and this is of the old team era. I prefer this look. I think the shoulder stripe is much more unique and interesting. I almost wore my Howard Chuck to this.
I think your Howard Chuck is a gorgeous jersey. It's probably their best one.
This is not.
You can't put this blue with this dripping text right here in a slightly lighter shade of blue. We can't see what it is on the monitor there.
You're right. Though so I'll add in, because we talked in Chicago about this. Phil, if you can give me a real good zoom on this logo.
Oh, the stylized texture.
It is also chain stitched, and I almost bought it for that reason.
That's the best I can do.
But you can see it. You can see it in the blue as well, right? So the sewing machine went and swirled around and around and around. It is one continuous stitch throughout all of that to give it some really impressive looking texture.
Yep.
Other than that, there is nothing good I had to say about this jersey. It didn't sell well.
No.
I'm sure you can imagine why. I mean, maybe there was some story element of Jets are gray, Canadian RCAF something, but you know what? They just didn't. They just phoned it in.
No, and I think out of all three of these two, they're meh.
Yeah, well, I'll give you that.
This one was
That's bad. That's properly bad.
I guess a better wording would be like, they're not necessarily the worst. It's just there's not a lot of jerseys, so we went with the bottom of the list.
It's the bottom of the list. This was nearly a one video. Let's just talk about Winnipeg, but then they're like, no, they do technically have enough jerseys.
They do.
So
hopefully the other ones make up for it.
So let us know your thoughts. Where are we at with this? And if Winnipeg is allegedly planning a rebrand, what do you expect to see from them? So he's Shrems, I'm John. Phil, get us out of here.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you get notifications when we have new videos posted. And tune in for another episode of Ugly Thirds.
But tell me about Minnesota again.
Duluth is nowhere near where you're going.